The following program is not a New Channels production, and New Channels has no responsibility for the content or opinions expressed therein.
You're being taped.
Oh, yeah, I've been over with that. I pull that out every year.
I hope I go through this thing without too much trouble.
Hello, sir.
Me too. No, I mean getting through this here because I have
Sky pretty, you know? Isn't the sky pretty?
Okay, we'll take and open the meeting for the month of April, the Town Board of Granby. Please join me in saluting the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Want to read the call, Madam Clerk?
Supervisor James Bass.
Here.
Councilman Lance Nat.
Here.
Rose Anthony. Here. Anthony Cavone.
Here.
Vince Greco.
Here.
Budget Officer Robert Lyman.
Here.
Highway Superintendent Ray Marshall.
Here. Entertain a motion on the minutes.
I make a motion we dispense the reading of the previous minutes and accept them as written.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. Communication petitions. We have a informational pamphlet received from the New York State Department of Equalization Assessment regarding municipal option for assessment administration. And we received the residential assessment ratio for the period of July 92 to July 93, which was 92.68%, based on the sales prices and the values that were placed on it by the assessors. It's the percentage of difference between what the assessors had on and what the sales prices were. 71 Fran Sullivan sent copies of a letter she had written to the Commissioner of the New York State Department of Parks and Recreation in support of a grant application for the Lake Nyanawana Phase 2 project and the response she received from them. She also sent a letter with information on the proposed implementation of tolls for use of tolls on the use of the locks in the New York State canal system. That hearing on the canal system was the 4th of April, and the Phase 2 Lake Nyanawana project, as I understand it, the EPA denied the Fulton Lake Nyanawana application. We received 2 letters from Mr. White, March 20th. Dear Town Board members, I am sending this letter to each of you because it's been my experience that some correspondence does not make it to the addressees. Please share it with the other board members. I want to address the topic of proposed moratorium one last time. Let's keep this issue simple and not complicated as has been done so far. Don't we all agree that our current mining laws are unclear and confusing to say the least? At the public hearing last week, this was brought up several times. Not once was this fact contested. The pit owners' lawyers didn't even say that they were opposed to the moratorium. They hoped that the moratorium would affect their clients. Several residents did say they were opposed to the moratorium, but only because Granby already has too many laws. Having too many laws has nothing to do with the moratorium. The moratorium simply gives the time to clean up and clarify the law before they cause any more damage. Cleaning up could very well shorten the laws, which should make those opposed for that reason very happy. I've heard it said that the town supervisor has said that his job to balance the interests of the town and the people, even though some might not agree with his decision. It's not his decision, period, of the town boards. I've also heard it said that the town supervisor has said that the people who voted him into office knew how he does business, therefore he'll do what he's always done. Believe me, every resident expects the town board to act quickly, do the correct thing according to the law. This is a very simple issue. Yes, very simple issue. It's already taken too long, cost Granby too much money because of delays. Why is Ridge Road damaged? Questions. Marks. Why is County Route 85 becoming just as damaged? Question marks. Why have not several people come to you and beg you to do something about it? Question marks. What next? Question marks. How much is the issue going to cost us? Question marks. Sincerely, Fred R. White. I guess it says in here that I've heard it's said in reference to the town supervisor's position. I guess that's where it stands. I heard it said. The second letter is April 3rd. Granby Town Board. I have been closely involved with the proceedings involved with gravel mining in Granby since the fall of 1993. I'm very disappointed in the conduct of the town supervisor, town board, the ZBA, and the town lawyer. I've written to most of you in the last 7 months with specific questions and suggestions as well as sincere concerns. Many of those letters requested answers. So far, I have not received one answer to the response to any of these letters. This and other occurrences led me to believe that something is seriously wrong, or else why would adults act this way? It seems that we, the town, can't make a decision on the side of the majority of the people in a reasonable amount of time. Why have the moratorium or other gravel permits issue been so hard to do? You might think the town is petrified of being taken to court. You might think that not going to court is better than looking out for the safety and welfare of the residents. Is this why you appear to hesitate to do what our laws say to do? Is this why you rubber stamp gravel permits and why you do not appear to be interested in stopping those mines without a permit? By leaving our current zoning ordinance confusing and unclear, you can justify doing what you have done so far, nothing. I strongly suggest you approve the moratorium now and get on with the business of correcting our laws. Had you acted quickly in December when the issue first came up, you could very well have had the ordinance amended by now and the moratorium over with. People who need this gravel could very well lose a lot of money by your inability to decide what is right. Another issue is the Ferguson special use permit. The ZBA approved the permit knowing that the planning board had not yet established a condition, nor had the planning board's public hearing for the permit been conducted. Again, why would adults act this way? The current application approved by the ZBA does not address the concern of the residents nor the planning board. I plead, I'm personally, it says change access road, for example. I plead that you, the town board, act now to override approval of this permit until the planning board has had a public hearing to consider the conditions deemed necessary to protect the safety and well-being of the residents. You have yet another chance to do what is right. What will you do? What is right? Or what have you done so far that last 7 months? Will you do what is easiest or what is right? I recommend you get on with the moratorium, approve it, and hire an expert to suggest change. It could be done in several weeks. I recommend you to revoke the Ferguson special use permit so appropriate conditions are stipulated in the Granby special use permit. Sincerely, F.R. White. We have a letter from the Department of Public Works concerning posting highways in the town of Granby for speed limits, and it just advises us the form that's used to do that. And there's a letter from the Seward County Soil and Water announcing an upcoming seminar, erosion and sediment control training session to be held 6/14/94. Does anybody else have any other comments or communications petitions?
I have just the one communication, but I think you have a copy of it, and that's from Niagara Mohawk for the lights, and I see that is on the agenda.
On the agenda, yeah. Mm-hmm. I have one other one, I'm not sure exactly, that wasn't on this, was a petition that was delivered to the town last week. And it doesn't say who it's addressed to, but I take it to the town board. We, the residents of Chase Road, town of Granby, County of Oswego, do hereby render our opposition to the Fulton Soccer Club and teams building their field and entrances entrances and exits on our road. And there's approximately 40 people in that area that have written signed this petition. No other communication petitions? Under old business, the town attorney is awaiting additional information in regard to Country Acres Mobile Park zoning issue, and that was brought up 2 or 3 months ago, and there's letters transferring between the owners of the park and the town council and their council as to the situation on the park, so that's still up in the air. I have bids for the cemetery. We have dated March 31st, 1994, by Grover Lawn Care and Landscaping. Following my bid for the 1994 season on the Town of Granby Cemetery maintenance includes the following cemeteries: Granby Center, Lewis Corners, and Merritt Road. Bid contracts the following: mowing lawn, trimming, ground markers, raking leaves, sweeping stairs and sidewalk, and removing debris caused by the work damage and general use. I understand the deadlines of May 25th, June 10th, July 1, and September 1st. And the quote is $1,480. Mr. Grover. Dear sir, this is my bid on the 3 cemeteries in the town of Granby for mowing, trimming, sweeping, and removing debris. Granby Cemetery, Lewis Corners, and Merritt Cemetery. And they will have them accomplished as May 25th, June 10th, July 1st, and September 1st. Equipment, I will furnish all equipment and liability insurance coverage. My bid is $1,400. William Road, Shortcut Road, Cato, New York. So you have Mr. Groves at $1,480 and Mr. Rhodes at $1,400.
Who did we have last year?
Groves.
We had Grover last year.
Did he do a good job?
Did an excellent job.
Yeah.
Grove is also, I believe, a resident of the town, isn't he?
Yes,
Yeah. That's right down the road.
he lives on County Route 8.
I would move that even though Grove is $80 higher, we retain Grove. He's done an excellent job, and he is a resident of the town.
I second that.
Motion made and seconded for Grover's Lawn Care and Landscaping, $1,480. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. On March 30th, we received a letter from the school district concerning Ridge Road. And there was a request for a review, an engineering review of Ridge Road for safety, the integrity of the road. And I contacted a Mr. Hammond from the school district and asked him what the standards that the school district had that would affect the road, and he advised me they didn't have any particular standards. I asked him if they had any study done to show us where the deficiencies were, and he didn't have that. He followed a letter as of after that to me. As a follow to our conversation on March 25th, your letter dated March 27th, I'd like to state the following. The Fulton School District does not have any special standards that would supersede any federal, state, or local laws that govern the construction or maintenance of any road or highway that our buses travel. We are not trained engineers in this subject and certainly will not try to second guess any government agency involved here. The State Ridge Road was built and maintained by the Department of Transportation Standards. The school district depends on and respects the town of Granby's expertise in this area. This is all the standards we need. Thank you for your time and cooperation in this matter. I hope we continue to work together in the future. Sincerely, Joar Hammond. And I'll let Ray make a report when he has his turn concerning that road also. With Representative Cornell to come up, okay? You just briefly give us a sum of it. We have a vacancy on the planning board, and we had 3 individuals apply for the planning board, and one was Mr. Dennis E. Lyons, Mr. Robert Ferguson, and Mr. Lyle Young. And they all are residents of the town of Granby. They all equally had interest in the town, and the town board interviewed them, and it's the pleasure of the board. I can entertain a motion for appointment for to December 31st, 1994.
I'll make a motion. We appoint Lyle Young to the
A motion.
planning board to finish out the term.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Mr. Lyle Young to the position of member of the planning board. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. Under new business, anybody have any other old business to bring up? Any at all? Under new business, motion entered an agreement to spend highway funds of Oswego County. This is a March 18th we got this, and it's refers to the funds that we use in 5110 and 5112, formerly items 1 funds is due with maintenance of the highway and equipment, I guess. Is that right, Ray?
Mainly on the roads. I believe.
Mainly on the roads, okay. And it's one we do annually every year. And what it amounts to, we have to have the county highway superintendent's approval for our expenditures for item 1 in our budget. Can I have a motion to approve the contract with the county for our agreement to spend the monies for item 1?
Also move.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? This is the annual thing we do. The county government manages or administrates what the town government does in the highway department in a lot of ways. So they have some say in purchasing vehicles and equipment, as well as our operation of some of the funds we have. Any other discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pass that, Clerk. The board can sign that part where it says council person. We've got an agreement with quality office equipment for the Justice's apartment. And we have, it's an annual thing for the repair and maintenance of the developer or of the copier machine. And it's for 8,000 copies at 3,700 per copy. It comes out to $296. per year. For that one in there. What it amounts to, they supply the toner and the developer, and when we get all done, it's actually about what it costs us to buy the materials to run the copy this year. Been about the same every year. Can I have a motion on the quality office equipment contract for Justice Copier? It's all budgeted in the county, in the buildings budget.
I'll make the motion that we accept the contract.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, Madam Clerk. The other copier that we have is the one we bought in November. The an annual contract with them for maintenance is $720 based on a 36,000 copy unit use. We have, at this time, we've got 13,000 copies that have gone through that machine. Can't hardly believe it, but I'm sorry, that can't be right. 13, let me think that. Can't be 13. Well, anyway, it's a quarter of the year, and they project we're going to take and have 36,000 copies going through it, and that's $720 for the maintenance of it.
They project that, how long a period they project we're gonna hit that? Another year we're gonna get that?
That's for a full year, from now to 3/28/95.
Yeah, but no, I meant, we got 13,000 copies now, which we were hard to...
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, I can't say that's the right number.
But they say 36,000, we're gonna do 36,000 next year?
Is it 13,000? Okay, 13,000.
And we're gonna do another 30,000 in a year, is that what they're saying?
Yeah. Another 20,000.
Another 20,000,
Yeah,
excuse me.
23,000.
To make whatever thing.
Yeah.
And my only question, how come it's so high? It's a fairly new machine.
Well, they're charging the same rate. I mean, they're doing the same rate. The machine parts and the toner and all that stuff is part of the contract, but they maintain it for you. It's,
I think it's too high.
Lance, you know why that machine would be costing us so much money? That's a new machine, it's $720, the other one's only $300.
Is he the only guy that can maintain it?
36,000. You got it.
36,000.
It's
Lance.
.0220 per copy. Okay.
Is he the only guy that can maintain it?
I don't know.
Well, on the total, if you're using the number of copies we're talking about, isn't that expensive? It's cheaper than the other one we just got done. The other one was,
I think it's a choice, either you accept the contract or do the maintenance yourself.
Is that what it boils down to?
I can't be sure.
Yeah.
I can't be sure.
Seems pretty high, but...
well, it's actually cheaper than what we just did now with the previous one.
Really?
Yeah, because the other ones figure 8,000, and this is 24,000.
Why do we have to have different people do different,
Well, because
different
we
machines?
bought the machine from two different people.
Yeah,
Well, can't one fix the other?
probably could.
Why can't we get one guy and get one price?
Do we have time to,
Well, this one here
when is that, when is our existing warranty up on it?
This one here starts the 25th of April, and this one here is as of 3/28 of March.
For the new one? It's
The new one's
3/28?
3/28. Yeah,
March, so actually,
Yeah.
we're over.
we're over. We're running on the warranty that we got with the machine, the 90-day warranty.
I'd like to see one guy do the whole thing.
Check it out.
Do we check it out?
See if you get a price, Tony.
Well, the thing of it is I mean, I'm looking, what you've got is
I think we got a
about,
time limit here, though, don't we?
there's 15 cents difference right there on the cost, or 15, I'm not 15 cents, 1,500.
On the new machine?
Yeah, see what you got is, you got
Per unit.
per unit, per sheet, you got .037, this is .022.
Tony, these guys specialize. It's tough to get somebody to do more. I've tried at my place. It's not easy.
And that machine
Actually,
you
it
got,
is. It's
Yeah, the
cheap.
machine we got in there is the one we had, and we had problems, that's the one we took and, it's a mate to the one we got in your office, it was tough to get parts for it. Yeah,
One in
so,
the justice office, you know.
Actually, the larger one is cheaper.
It is cheaper?
Yeah, when you look at the figures, it
Yeah.
is.
but it's a newer
Seems
machine,
to
so
me
he's not giving you, if you had 3 years on that, it might be a little different.
That was really, I was wondering why the machine was so new and the cost of the service contract was so costly, but like you
Yeah,
said,
it's
I hate
new.
to see what happens when it gets stolen, what the contract's gonna be.
Well, we got it,
That's the only way to go, I guess, we have no choice, huh?
can I have a motion on the Underwood, Usherwood for the 36,000 at .0220 at $720 per year?
That is cheaper.
Yeah, it is.
I make a motion to go with Underwood, seeing that it's cheaper for us.
Okay. Have a second to Usherwood? Motion
second.
made and seconded. Any discussion? No other discussion. All in favor? Opposed? None
Aye.
opposed. Oh, one opposed. The, sometime in, end of February, we had problems with the doors out there and at the town hall building out here. And we asked, for a quotation of any service we'd have to do with that from Overhead Door Company. And we got a quote, and the quote is based on things that have to be done for the 8 doors. There was wood trim around the doors that had to be put on. Door stop had been knocked off for whatever reason from trucks going through with wings on it and so on. The rollers on the door, materials that hang on hinges, one 15 by 24 inch, 15 foot by 24 inch series bottom section, and I'm not sure what the 24 foot of run is for 426 series door, but anyway, this service in the 8 doors and putting the door stop on in one section of the door would be $1,566. There's also several sections that are rusted through that only fixes to replace them. Each of these sections would cost $398 a piece, possibly 2 panels per door. So you're talking, if I'm looking at this right, you got 8 doors, pretty good number of dollars, $400 per door. You're talking $800 per door. This was a quote on that. Do you have any comment on that?
I don't think every one of the doors would have to have 2 panels. Some of them are rusted out quite bad on the bottom. There are a couple of them that are bad, but I don't think you'd have to replace 2 panels on every door.
Okay.
I think
Are we talking all eight doors?
I don't think we'd have to replace even.
We got
I
one.
haven't-
They got one on the original quote for $1,500.
Would that take care of the? There's 2 panels I think that are bad on 2 different. 1 panel on 2 different doors.
No, it just says there's just one panel, bottom section, on one door.
That's on the
That's
$1,500
on
quote.
$1,566.
I think we could get by for a while with just that one. I don't think the others are that bad that we'd have to replace them right now.
Okay.
What kind of money are we talking here?
That's $1,566 for the service to 8 doors. That includes the labor, the door stop, the rollers that they have to replace. There was a problem with the rollers. I can't.
Rollers are getting quite worn in some of them.
Yeah.
In fact, the rollers are coming out. We're having trouble opening the doors. We have the same problem at our place, Jerry. It's more or less general maintenance. The doors wear out. They're going up and down constantly. We get a guy in here once a year. Imagine it's in Ray's budget.
No, this comes out of building. This comes out of general.
General? Well, I know, like my company, we go through it about once a year. They just can't help it.
Well, these were purchased as a money saver to the town because the old metal doors we had, it was, fiberglass. It was like heating the outside. These are an insulated door, we got a special price, and we went through a long gyration of buying them, but, you know, given their use with the trucks and everything.
Yeah, and rollers wear out. We replace rollers constantly up there where I am.
Jim, if you'd like, maybe we could take that, and maybe Lance is a buildings man here, we could go over the doors with a quote and take a look at them and see just what we
I'd
can
like
add.
to- Could we table this for a month?
Yeah, something.
Have a motion to
Because
table,
we're gonna be spending the weekend in there anyway,
Yeah.
so.
table the quotation.
Make a motion to table it.
Motion made to table. Second to it?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
You don't think we need that much work done, right?
I think we need a lot of the work. I don't think we have to replace 2 panels on every door, and I think maybe 1 or 2 panels. But
Motion made and second. All discussion done? All in favor, table?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, Madam Clerk. No objections.
So these are special.
we got to fill them.
Yeah.
We have a letter from Niagara Mohawk. Lance, do you have a copy of the letter? I got it right here for you. Here you go.
Yep.
You wanna?
You want mine?
No, I got it. You wanna? I can read it. You can read it too.
No, you read it.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's a letter from Niagara Mohawk to Mr. Knapp. Thank you for your recent inquiry about street lighting and cost in the town of Granby. Find that I reviewed the two lighting districts presently being built in the town of Granby. I calculated the annual cost difference between the present mercury vapor lighting and utilizing high-pressure sodium lighting. Calculations were based on the current rates in effect per Public Service Commission 213, not including the fuel adjustment and all the other additionals that go on it. By converting to high-pressure sodium, the town would realize approximate saving of $350 annually without lowering the current level of illumination provided. Conversion has been underway in the city of Fulton since 1991 and already demonstrated saving without compromise. Lighting conversions are now pending in the city of Oswego as well. To implement this conversion for the town of Granby, Niagara would require a written resolution for the town board's approval. Please do not hesitate to contact me.
This is a result of the community center got switched to a demand meter. And we made a call because of the circumstances at the community center trying to get up the demand system. But we're stuck on the demand system. But as it works out, we might save money on the demand system on that also. But while I was talking to this girl, we did do some discussions on this lighting. Excuse me. And we would realize a savings of at least $350 a year if we did go.
How much does it cost to convert?
That's what I was trying to get here. They had, I don't show me that, man.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I tell you what, though, why don't we table this until I find out that cost? That wasn't written in here, was it?
If you've got both the town lighting, that's one pot, and then
Well, I've got Willowbob on here, too.
Willow Bob, that's another
Yeah.
pot. I don't know how many lights.
Well, they're in here. We got that all accounted for. Just a matter of facility cost was the charges is what they're talking about.
Got total facility cost.
Of $1,744 for it.
Yeah. Versus $953.
But really what they got, Lance, is the facility cost is with the, our situation right now is we would have a little higher costs in the facility charge to us, but the energy cost would go down substantially.
Yeah, and that's where your savings is.
Yeah. I think if my experience with that just the other day was that we just got done with some of this and it, I think that facility cost is part of the charge and you just make a change.
Let's table this for a month and let me find out exactly
Okay.
when we're gonna start making money back.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me get a hold of it again and I'll present it again next month.
Okay.
You can't,
It's nothing we gotta do today.
right, you can't replace go to this as they burn out or anything like that. You have to,
You have to replace the whole head.
No, I think what they do is they change the head. It's just, the facility cost is the cost we're paying anyway. I think that's just inclusive. The facility cost goes up, but the actual energy cost goes down, and the total saving turns out to be $351 a year on it. But we ought to take a look and see if there's any conversion costs. It didn't say that here, but,
yeah.
okay, can I have a motion to table this?
I make
I'll
a
move
mo-
that we table this until we get back to it next month.
Second?
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
What you need is
Yeah.
the savings to the town lighting and the savings to Willowbrook. You need two
They're both in here.
numbers.
They're
Yeah.
both in here. They're both in here. When they, actually, the savings, Willoughby,
Conversion per unit, though, I think, for
yeah, but what I'm looking at is there's the savings on this here, energy cost. Well, they got, the Willowbob's got 2 lamps in there that I'm seeing on here. And they're 175 watt. They're gonna reduce them down to 100. And do the same lighting, so you're gonna save about $60.
But no, they're only gonna, is there just 2 lights?
Well, no, they got some more in there too, but I mean, I'm just looking at what they got here
See,
for
there's
them two.
2 kinds of costs here you need, because there's 2 pots of money they're gonna have to pay for it. Willowbob's gotta pay its share, town lighting has gotta pay its share.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but they're
if we
included.
go on a cost per unit basis, we can split that because we know how many units they have
Right.
in both
Yeah.
places.
Right.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, that's
we can
broken
split
out.
that out.
Yeah, that's broken out here. It's just, you got 275 watts now, and you're gonna go to 100 watts, that, high pressure, and I don't know the rest of it, but that just on that savings, about $60. Okay? Okay, we've tabled that one.
Take a little vote.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
I asked the board to consider making a change on our project, water district, sewer district project coordinator. Brenda Frazier has been the person that we've had doing that, and I've resolved that with Brenda before the beginning of the year, and asked Bob Polowitz to become involved in that, and he has. We've had one meeting. I'll get into that when I make a report here a little later, but we have, and the only reason I need the motion of appoint, because at some time we'll take and we've got a budget for that, and he'll be charging us for the time he spent as that coordinator. So if I could have a motion to appoint Bob Polowitz as Water District Project Coordinator, I would desire that.
I so moved we appoint Bob Polowitz as project coordinator.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Is that a term, or?
Yeah, it goes just the end of the year. We'd put it on the new, at the beginning of the year if you do it again. We just put money in the budget to expend for chasing them problems down with the city of Fulton and some of the stuff we got doing with the water district down there. We've got that in just to keep somebody communicating on it, and we budgeted for it. I just haven't used Brenda, and I have used Bob, and I just think it's fair to make it so that we have it on record that we're going to pay that amount whenever it's necessary because it's there. I got to do it, in effect. Okay, motion made and
I
seconded.
second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
None opposed.
Okay. Remember, there's 6 potentially new districts in the town. 3 water, 3 sewer. And Brenda was tasked a while back to be the coordinator for all 6 of those. Right now, you have 1 potentially new water district in Hannibal Street Water. I think, in talking to Bob, we really, and I'd be willing to work with him, sit down and let's go back and let's look at all 6 of these and begin to get a administrative and financial history if he's gonna take this job over.
Yep.
Because it's not just 1 water district
No.
that's happening here, it's 3 water and 3 sewer.
Right.
That may happen.
And there is documentation in the file. Brenda accumulated that. We just have to take and make sure that we have it up to date and where we can use it
Yeah.
for.
Well, okay, I'll sit
And
down
districts
with
are already been,
I'll sit down with him because I've got the numbers, that
okay.
money we've already spent
Buried in
3,
the
4 years ago.
Yeah. How do you done it? Tony, what's going on here? Sir. One of the things that happened, yesterday morning, we had a meeting at the community center of the neighborhood based council, which is part of the neighborhood based alliance, which is a unit that's recognized by the state of New York as a specific need area. And the Fulton School District recognizes that, and there was 6 of them in the state of New York. The wisdom of the legislature and the governor developed this concept 2 years ago. And this school district, Fulton School District, and all the area in that confinement of that district have had studies made and some recommendations what we do to take and help out on the social factors and the education factors of people in that area. Well, because it has had quite a bit of communication and community relationship, it involves all the county agencies that provide money. It involves citizens in the county, in the town, and the city of Fulton and town of Valney. It involved the school district. And what they did was come up with a budget item of what would be the dollar we would need if we wanted to develop some programs to help these individuals in this district. So they come up with a total number of something like $750,000 and include a lot of different things. Out of the $750,000, they put a request in for the 1994-95 budget year, state budget year, for funding of $400,000 with the acknowledgement that they probably would get $200,000 bottom line anyway, and the $400,000 was on the top side. During the budget negotiations, the youth department, New York State Department of Youth, has advised the local neighborhood-based initiative, the neighborhood-based alliance group, that they've reduced the funding available to this one of 6 alliances to $120,000. And that is the way it stands right now. The reason they reduced the funding was because the state of New York legislature and the governor's office have decided, and it hasn't been passed by the legislature yet, but has decided to have more neighborhood-based alliances. 5 of them are downstate in the cities. The only one that's a rural one is the one that's in the Fulton School District. So what they did was they took the pot of money they had, and they said there were 6 of us going to share in this, and now they've made more members and just took the money and compressed it down and spread it over a bigger number. So we come up with $120,000. The state hasn't approved their budget yet, and I would like to see the town board direct the supervisor to send a letter to the governor's office and the social services department of the state of New York and Mr. Wright and Ms. Sullivan supporting the original $400,000 item. I'm not sure that the $400,000 item would probably be sustained, but the way we support it would be the fact that the original concept was 6 neighborhood-based alliances, and the fact that they increased it to a higher number shouldn't have any impact on those first 6. The first 6 were told 2 years ago, you put this package together, we're going to have funding for you because you have a problem. Politically, it's got to the point that it's a nice deal. Everybody said, boy, I'll make you a neighborhood-based alliance, and that means you get a red star by your name, and then when you go for a grant, that's supposed to imply you get expedited service. You're going to get some more funding and so on. So politically, it's turned out to be a nice thing to turn out and hand this people. And it's put this group of people in a jam because all of a sudden they went on the assumption they would have a minimum of $200,000 and a possible $400,000, and they've gone ahead and committed monies from different places that would be matching money for this money. They got $400,000. They had a $750,000 project. They would take and match that. That $350,000 would be our local money that would be matching it. So now what we've got happening, we've committed monies from different departments in the county and areas, and our situation is one where the state share won't be there. So a request to the governor and the state legislature to support the original 6 neighborhood-based alliances would be legitimate in the fact that that was what they had originally. That's what they wanted to do. If they're going to add more, they should add more money to the pot that they want to disperse. Only because you've got 30-some people, volunteers and bureaucracy people and so on, and school districts represented that have put a lot of time in developing the concept that may help the community. Anybody that lives in the Fulton School District in this town of Granby would be part of the area. And the side effect that we are getting is the fact that these 30-some people are now talking about other activity that's going on, such as a central recreation area, possibly, improvement of playground area in Fulton, because that's become a noticeable thing now. They just did a study on that and said they had a problem. Some of the things that they got on the riverfront, this $20,000 grant, some of the money we're going to get for Lake Nanawana. Some of the things are all being affected by being designated neighborhood-based alliance group. So I serve on that board with you, and Bruce Phelps does, Ed Vayner, Carol Rutledge from the town of Granby, and I just think the town board's participation in this particular instance, but a letter would be a nice support to send down. It's still state money. Everybody understands we're still spending your money. It's just how where it's going to go to and where it's coming from.
Just if we get our share back.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
And of the original commitment. See, the problem we have is they made a change in the game plan based on the political, I mean, my opinion, and my opinion may not be right, but it's my opinion, that they did it based on the political well-being of everybody that's involved here. So I would say a letter in support of the neighborhood-based alliance would be the appropriate thing to do, and the funding, as it originally was committed, would be what we'd want to be talking to.
We've got nothing to lose.
Why did they ask for 400,000 if they didn't need 400,000?
Well, they did. They did a $750,000. They did $1.5 million worth of projects on paper. Then they reduced that down to what they thought they could do. And when they got done, they come up with these different programs, and there's a lot of different programs with a daycare type thing, setting, helping kids in preschool programs, a lot of other things are going on. I got a whole list of them and I can show you, but the point was they knew that they would have $200,000 to $400,000 worth of money coming to the state. So they built their package around the fact that if they got $400,000, they could do this. If they got $200,000, they could do this. But they got reduced below the $200,000 threshold on state aid. So now they're caught without being able to do what they want to do, because they can't just cut 30% or 40% off the program. They got to remove projects. So
Isn't it possible to remove some of those projects?
yeah, they can. They can. But the point of you understand, the point of it is that someone else decided that Fulton was in need of this aid. It wasn't people in Fulton particularly. Someone else put the numbers together and said, you have a distressed area. Your social factors are such, your single parents are such, your school district dropout rate such, your pregnancy situation is such, this is such, that's such, and they said this emphasizes all that, so because of that, we will do these things if you give us a plan how you might meet and improve the community, and it's a 5-year deal. It started 2 years ago, and it's 5 years. and they're in the second year, and this is the first money they're gonna get, okay? And they just cut the program.
Well, you've gotta let the people on Granby know they're eligible for this.
Well, they do. Yeah, they do. Everybody that's in the...
Nobody would know, nobody knows about this. You have to let people know about it.
Well, that's right, and part of it was the Neighborhood-Based Alliance has recognized that, and they'll be having a presentation to the town board in the near future, as well as the Rotary Club and other
All
people.
this help for the people, you should get the word out, if you do pass this, that there is help there for the people.
Well, it's based on what these...
What
this
they
project
get,
goes,
right?
Yeah. But I mean, what you're really is doing is voicing concern that the original concept was what everybody put their time in. There's people here that don't have any relationship with the monies that are being involved. They're just citizens. Mr. Phelps doesn't have any money with the thing at all. He's just a citizen working on a board. He's put the time in for a year and a half. And other people just like him that have put the time in, they have no way of retrieving that money in their pocket in any way at all, but they're enthused about doing it. Then all of a sudden, the people who made the rules changed the rules.
Well, why did they only want to give them 120?
Because they have increased it. There was originally six neighborhood-based units in the state of New York. Now they've increased it, but they didn't put any more money in the funding for those units they were going to increase to. So they took the money that was going to be budgeted for the original 6 and just said, we'll give everybody a piece, without any respect to the planning, the development of the projects that are on way, and the commitment that people have made already in the 1994 budget. Youth Bureau had put money aside in 1994 for certain things in the city of Fulton, figuring they would get the 50% or whatever they allocated in this funding to support the package from the state, and it isn't going to happen. They won't get that much money.
Well, go ahead and write to Jim and see what you can do. That's what I say.
Well, if you people want me to take and do that, I'd be glad to do it.
Maybe you can have a motion for that, have you?
Well, I would like to have a motion from the town board.
This board has nothing to lose if you just applied for it, do we?
No, you have to gain. I mean, somebody's got to speak up. I mean, you're going to have other people writing letters, but a town board has as much power as anybody is going to have.
I move we give the supervisor permission to write the letter.
Okay. Okay. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed, Madam Clerk. Thank you. Planning board on committees. Anybody else have any new business to bring in? I didn't. Okay. Planning board, environmental board, ZBA, zoning officer. Dog control officer has a report of 23 complaints, 6 dogs picked up, 6 dogs released. Number of dogs on hand is 3. $27.98 is food, $12.99 supply. Monthly mileage of $3.90. Impoundment fees collected was 10. Gail Callen, dog control officer. Assessors. Historian, he has a report that on the 24th this year, I visited the office of the town of Victor in Ontario County. The visit was prearranged with Alice Hunt, Victor town clerk, and Babbitt Huber, town of Victor historian. The purpose of this visit was to observe their record storage facility and operation the same. Mrs. Hunt has talked several times at meetings of municipal historians. I attended one of these meetings a few months back and was impressed by her expertise. The town of Victor's records retention rate is one of the best in the state. Primarily, there are 2 important things the town of Granby does not have. Most importantly, they have a fireproof, climate-controlled. They don't have a fireproof, climate-controlled vault for storage of permanent records. Theirs had to be underground with 6-inch concrete blanket around it according to state specs. Their town hall is quite old and has a cellar space available. Secondly, there was room for inactive records where any town official or qualified clerk could retrieve important papers if necessary, especially in legal actions where the town is involved. I received suggestions that we shared other information. It was a worthwhile meeting. I'm concerned with the present record storage facility at the Granby Town Hall. This is a very acute need for proper storage and space. The present record room was designed at a time when all town officials had record in their homes. It is not adequate for proper storage according to New York State mandates. My suggestion to alleviate this, bring the record facility up to requirements, is to build 2 rooms adjacent to the town hall to house 1 permanent record and 2 inactive records. 2 rooms adjacent to Town Hall. John R. Byer.
Does Rosie's beer cooler count?
And we are working and very diligently going to have a new record containment for some of those other records down there, Madam Clerk. Bill administration. Lance?
I've been assisting the tax collector. We sent out, I printed up and she sent out approximately 500 second notice letters. That was done last week, and this weekend I'm going to start the changeover of the computer systems in the assessor's office. And I'll tie in with Ray this weekend and take a look at the doors out there too.
Okay. Let me just add that we had the people down in the gas stoves down there, we had one valve seat on the handle was leaking, and that's been corrected.
We don't need any more.
We don't need a flare. And the senior citizens?
I have one question for you. We've tabled and put money aside for a new heating system over there. When will that be done?
We're
Are you
still looking at that. One fire at a time.
2 years we've tabled that, and we
Well,
put the money away, and you haven't done anything
Well,
about
with
it?
the energy thing we just got now, it's pretty obvious. We better move it along.
And I have requested from Jim that he looks into a geothermal system to put over there,
It's
so.
been, what, 2 years since we've talked?
Well, we've got money in the budget to do it.
Okay. The seniors, I guess did you hear about their bus that went off the ditch here? The seniors was going on a trip. I don't think anybody was on it, was
No.
it?
It was on its way over to pick them up.
Yeah, that went in a ditch, and that was, shook them up a little, but I guess.
Thursday morning when the snow come, it was Thursday morning, wasn't it, Ray, when that? Yeah, Thursday
Yes.
morning. Thursday
Yeah,
morning.
the bus went off the highway, and
On the way over to pick up people.
the seniors, yes.
It ran off the road trying to avoid a car, and it didn't avoid it. Another car hit the
Yeah.
bus. There was an
They
accident.
made it off okay for their trip, though.
Youth and recreation, Tony? Nothing right now. Highway superintendent.
Well, we're right on the building over there, and I talked to Jim a little bit about this, but Lance is building and grounds. I hope the last week of April that we can cut that, that whole parking area down, especially to the east. It's probably about 2 foot high over there anyway. Drop it down and maybe get a foot or so of gravel in, and maybe in that wet spot we can put a little fabric in there, paper in there or something. And get it gravelled up in shape so that it will drain and get the clay out from underneath it, and then maybe eventually the town would see fit to put a tap on it or something.
Hey, when you're there rooting around, can you take up that pad behind the back door, cross heaves that?
I mean, there probably wouldn't be any problem to get it out of there. We can do
I wonder
that.
if we can rip that out of there. I don't know if we want to put something else in there in its place or not, but,
Well, we could put probably treated lumber there. We'd probably do what you want without
Yeah.
committing
cross heaves
Yeah.
that pad's something awful. We've had a lot of complaints about it.
Well, I don't know if you're going to do anything eventually there with putting a tap on. You might just want to take and
Put an apron in.
put, the whole thing right there.
Well, you got the septic system there, so you got a problem with that one in there. You have to look at that, see what you can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And again, this isn't highway, but you didn't mention it, Jim. Maybe you didn't get a letter, but we're going to have a rabies clinic here.
Yes.
May 5th, 6 to 8 p.m. right at the highway garage. So it's
Yeah.
cats and dogs. Anybody has it?
When was that?
May 5th, 6 to 8 p.m.
It is cats and dogs?
It says cats and dogs. That's what it says. And it will be right at the garage. Okay, Jim, you mentioned Ridge Road there. You wanted me to comment on it, I guess. The letter that we had, the concern was that the roadbed was being compromised because of the close proximity of the gravel beds. I contacted Pete Messmer, and he's a technical assistance engineer from Cornell University. He works with the local roads program of Cornell, which gives training and aid and everything, to the local highways. And I asked him to address that. He did look at some other stuff, but on that in particular, I'll read you just the one sentence that he said, based on his observations, and he went on quite a few different ones, that he believed it is likely that the slopes along the current northern ready-mix operation and the Pritchard's Pit will remain stable, as have the inactive sites along the north side of the road. especially when the vegetation begins to grow. I do not believe there is significant danger that the slopes along the roadbed are unstable and could slide, causing the roadbed to drop. And he does go on before that and say test borings would verify the actual soil types within the slopes. However, with no slope failures having yet occurred over the history of the mining activities, it would be difficult to justify the cost of such testing. So he feels that, looking at what's been there over the years and that there's no problem with the actual roadbed, collapsing or sliding in.
Anything else?
Reverse that, Ray, and it says that he's not saying it's a must, but he recommends guardrails at the ridge.
I only addressed what was addressed to me in the letter.
The last statement says that he recommends guardrails at Pritchard's Pit. And if that ever comes to, Ray, and I just told you, I gave you a copy of Pritchard's agreement that when he started the pit, I gave you a copy. And it reads, it says, his pit would not, he explained that the back is wet and some clay and explained that the pines would act as a buffer. He said it won't be visible from the road. The engineer was to be at the hearing and explained some of the details. He indicated that he wanted to clean up the area and blah, 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 and he went on that he wouldn't dig near the road. So if you ever are compelled to put guards up there, I don't think the town of Granby should be responsible for those, if you ever.
Yeah, well,
I think Pritchard should pay for the guardrails. I really believe this. He
You
dug
brought up,
right
it
up
says,
to the road.
I do recommend that a properly designed guardrail be installed along Pritchard's operation. His pit is close to the road, there's significant drop off there.
Well, he's
So,
responsible for digging so close
yeah.
to the road.
Well-
He should be responsible for those rails, not we, the taxpayers.
Yeah, I just saw that tonight, Rose, as part of the permit. I have never seen his permit. And I
Okay.
talked to Jim, and I think probably this is something we should look into.
He didn't abide by anything he said he was going to do. This is what's wrong with it, just going to the DEC or zoning and say, I am going to do this and this and this and this. They don't do it. And this is where all the hard feeling is. And I think he should be responsible for guardrails, not us. Okay, Ray?
Right, I think that's something we're going to look into,
Okay.
Rose.
Ray, can you make them put up guardrails?
I think this is something that's gonna, we're gonna have to go through our
This is
attorney.
what the school bus drivers are fear of. The school bus drivers going to slide right off that road.
I was wondering, how much authority have we got to do that?
I don't know if this is something that, I guess,
We're looking
our
at
attorney will have to advise us on. I can't just go and tell them to put up guardrails.
Before I start, what are the hours of that clinic?
6 to 8.
6 to 8.
I just say if we have to do it, Ray, it's not our responsibility.
Rose, this is really something that we're
Ray,
going
can I ask you
Ray
something?
agrees with me.
Yeah.
Have we made any arrangements for cutting the grass here?
Not yet, not yet. We gotta get the dirt and stuff squared away here, the tear up, the winter stuff squared away, and then look at that. That's one of the things we gotta get into. We didn't put it part of the bidding.
No, if we could do the same thing we did last year, it didn't work out too bad. I know we didn't have anybody that was actually insured and all that, but I think we got out of it cheaper than we could have to bid it out. But something you can, it's up to you guys to decide. The only thing that I got is we started taking the plows and sanders off. It's not gonna snow anymore. We still have 2 ready, but they're gonna go shortly.
I'm glad of that. I'm running out of mailboxes.
You never called me, did you? You never called and complained to me.
Well, there's no sense of calling you complaining to you. You can't do nothing about it. It's gone.
Yeah, but I tried to go down and put you up a new one.
You're gonna put me up a new one?
Yeah, I've done
Now
it
you're
before. I've done it before.
Yeah.
Charlie, I think it's
Wait,
your
how many are you
line.
gonna put up, Ray? You always get into that, Ray. What do you got going
I
there?
thought he was done. He just keeps rambling
National
on.
TV, Ray, you're on national TV, you're talking about putting up mailboxes.
We don't do mailboxes.
Oh, yeah? You do something to him.
Did you read the paper last week? And it said that it was, what did it say in the Herald Journal there about there was no liability on the part of the highway department as far as mailboxes, something to that effect.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Budget.
All right, this is my statement of balances as of first week in April. Again, there's no sense talking about salaries, so I'll talk about contractuals. Unless somebody has a question, I'll just go down briefly what I have. We're a third of the way through the year. Supervisor has just over $711 left in his account. Let's see, assessors, we've got bills coming in from them because the town board agreed to purchase another computer last meeting we had. I'll worry about that next month. Yeah, and that'll be split between between buildings and the supervisor. Let's see, buildings still has 42,000. So actually we're in pretty good shape thus far. We still get all of our buildings in from getting through the winter. But I think for the most part we're in pretty good shape. Let's see, again, this is all general. Okay, zoning board of appeals. I've talked to the supervisor about their account. We appropriated $2,750, and they have had several meetings in the first 3 months of this year. As of first week of this month, they only have a balance of $918, which means they've spent over 3/4 of their budget, and they still have the remainder of the year to go. So we will be monitoring their activity and what they're required to do to support the business for the rest of the year for the town. Building inspector has a balance of $104, and other than that, pretty much takes care of it as far as general is concerned. Highway, let's see, safety equipment, we're down to $172 rate. I don't know if there's any more. The highway guys plan to buy. Let's see, again, it's snow removal. I think I reported last month that we spent the most in salaries that I have ever seen. And luckily, we had enough money in there to, it did get us through the winter, and we'll just have to take our chances toward the end of the year as far as any additional heavy snow toward the end of the year. Other than highway budget is fine. I have no real problems with any of that. I've added a line way at the bottom. We go through the districts again, Willow Bob, Water North, Water South. All of their budgets are fine. We're beginning to spend money. But I've added the Hannibal Street water setup. The town board will remember we took out a capital note for $10,000 last year. And coming into 1994, we had a balance of $5806 in that. And we've made one payment thus far. So, and I talked to Jim this morning about additional expenditures to form that district. Rate as of now, we got $53.66 left, and so Jim has been appraised that if we need more money to form that district, then he's going to have to basically go borrow more money. So, unless somebody has any other questions on balances, I've talked to Jim about our general medical. We're starting to spend a little bit more than what we had in appropriated, but again, we'll deal with that as the year goes on. Hannibal Street Water District, this year we raised their taxes substantially because there's, what, about 4 hydrants up there?
North. That's
The water
District North.
I'm sorry, wrong one. Water District North.
Yep.
There's 4 hydrants up there that have to be fixed, and we have to deal with the city of Fulton in order to get that work done, both materials and labor. So, other than that, unless somebody has something else, that's it.
Jim, I have one comment on the budget there. I know you brought up the fact twice now that we spent the most for salaries that we ever had. I think we also, we've received the most from the county for maintaining their highways that we've ever received, and apparently the county is the same from the state, so part of this is being balanced out. It was just a bad
There's
winter.
an
that's all.
offset there. Right.
Yeah.
The work was done and the roads were clear, and I think everybody's generally satisfied, but it was a bad winter.
what we have is we had a meeting a week or so ago with representation of the city and some citizens in the Hannibal Street Route 3 area, and the engineering firm that did the review of the area that we'd be watering if we happened to put it together. We had that area talked about. We looked at options. We're developing some options of how to pay for any work that's got to be done out there. We're talking a 12-inch line from the City of Fulton line out to Chase Road, and another 12-inch extension across Route 3, up Route 3 to Phillips Street, and that would bring that area that's commercial out there all underwater. There's one project, and we're looking at the impact of that, the dollar amount we're talking about, and how we would take and transfer the cost to the landowner, whether it's an assessment or by unit, and exactly what else would be entailed. So Bob is working up a proposal to consider for the individuals involved in this particular decision. Tony was with me at that meeting, and then Monday I had a meeting with New Channels. Their franchise renewal was up in 1996, and we're discussing the areas that don't have cable in the town of Granby right now in that franchise. Rose was with me at that. What they're doing is they're coming in, because of the competition, they're coming in with a couple of concepts. One is cable in front of houses, and also they have Prime Star, which is their disc. And it's presumably about so big, and you'll put that aside the house, and you'll be able to pick up their channels. They've got some upgrading they're going to go. They've got 43 channels now, and they're going to take and probably put in 10 more very shortly, and then possibly after January 75, 75, right?
75
Se-
channels after
70,
January 1st.
you know, they would have 70 channels available to the individuals who want them. But it does have an area that we're looking at. We got areas that aren't being serviced right now, and we proposed that it was our intent to make sure they get serviced. And the other part of it was that the method of service they were going to determine, either by actual cable going from the place or disc. And there's other people that's in the business, so they're very much involved in trying to accomplish something with the town on that point. That was basically both the biggest things that I had that was interesting.
Did you get any cost? That was what it's going to happen.
Well, the costs are pretty well tied into a procedure they've already got with Public Service Commission or the Cable Commission.
Those little discs, he says, runs about $800.
But they're,
He
yeah,
quoted there,
right.
$800 for a small disc.
But the disc would be that would be the price of one. But the point was they would take and provide one for some number like $250 for initial installation, and then you'd pay by the month for your service you get, including the disc, I suppose. But anyway.
Before we get on to the audit a bit, how did the thing go with the water deal on Hannibal? I mean, is it looking good, or are we going to get something done in 1994? Or?
Well, we're looking. Yeah, well, I don't know about 94. We'd like to. Because we got a payment back in September of 94 that goes back in towards the original 10,000 we got.
In other words, how are we doing with the city of Fulton?
Well, the city of Fulton is
That's what we're trying to
another
ask
animal.
you. What is the city of Fulton giving us?
Right now, they had advised us they would try to put a policy together to provide us with some water services in a certain method. That hasn't been done yet. I expect they got their new administrator in place that possibly will be done. But that wasn't as critical to me.
Give any timetable, Jim? I mean,
No.
policy,
No, it wasn't as critical to me on that one as much as it was the fact that we take and look to the citizens who are going to be involved here and why we have to have a 12-inch line and document the need for that, the cost of that, how we're going to disperse that cost. That has to be done whether whether Fulton gives water or not. We got to have them numbers.
Right.
I expect to get water, I have no problem with that. I have to
Yeah,
assume
we only
that.
got one source.
Well, right now, yeah. So anyway, it's,
Maybe you took Tony along, 'cause
it's just long.
how he feels about footprint.
You kept saying, don't worry about it, it's coming,
still-
it's coming, it's
I,
coming,
I
it's coming.
have got burned a little bit on that, but I still
It's
think
coming,
it's
it's
gotta
coming.
happen. There's other things happening. I mean, that's what is impressive, you know, you got other things happening in different places, so you have to keep communicating. Okay, I don't have anything else that go on that. The only thing is that Ray brought up the May 5th is the county's situation. We've advised the county, we've got X number of people in the highway department that's going to be in for their vaccinations when they do that procedure. Generally, that's where we're at on that. Okay, can I have a motion on the general funds of $9,862.06?
Can we group together, or?
You can do both if you want, yep.
I'll make a motion. Pay the general fund of $9,000. I put my glasses on so I can read. $9,862.06, and the highway fund of $11,159.38.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Let me just offer that we tabled the 720.
So it makes $720.
We didn't table that, did we?
No.
What?
No.
We hadn't paid that, didn't we?
No.
You
720
passed it.
Okay,
Pass that.
okay,
No,
I'm sorry.
didn't change anything.
Okay,
Table the lighting.
just, yep, it wasn't a bill, that's all. Okay, I'm sorry. So a motion made for the general fund of $9,862.06 and highway fund $11,159.38. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed, Madam Clerk. Next meeting will be May 11th, 1994, 7:30. We're going to have a session on the 14th of April, next door for the town board, the planning board, the,
Tomorrow night.
April 14th?
Tomorrow night?
tomorrow night. For the zoning board, planning board, environmental board, and the town board.
At
Have
7
all-
o'clock?
Have all notices gone out to the members, or just the?
No,
chairman?
everybody's
'Cause I
been-
spoke to a member today, and he never even knew anything about it.
No, the word got out to the people supposed to get it. We'll see what
Uh-oh.
happens.
Uh-oh.
Well, the letter's gone out.
All right.
We made a decision on that Friday. We got the timing squared away, and we sent out the notices on it, so we'll see
We're
what
at
happens.
the community center, right?
Yep.
Okay.
7 o'clock?
Yep. Okay. Okay. Floor is open to the public.
On this road out here, yeah. I talked to Wilder, and he said he didn't want to let it die. He wanted something brought up at this meeting. And I talked to you, and you made a note of it.
Yep. The road out here is, the decision has to be made in terms of whether or not the highway out here would be considered for adoption as a town road. Mr. I'm blank. Hoffman, I'm sorry, Mr. Earl. Drew a blank. He's made a proposal, and Ireland previously had provided us with a proposal and what they would do. The question, I guess, is that the town uses part of the road, and the other individuals have part of the road. I guess they need a direction from the town board as to whether or not they would consider moving ahead to making that a public road. We have title to it presented to us as for the parts we'd have to have. We've had an offer to build the road from the town road down to the 400 or 500 feet back from the town road, whatever it was, to that point. I guess what I need is a direction of the town board is to proceed with looking at it as a public road.
Yeah, we discussed this before.
Ray uses it a lot, don't you? Coming back and forth out of your...
We use it all the time.
Yeah. Come back and forth for your sand and stuff.
You have an access out of this driveway too, Ray? You have an access from this area to go over to that road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have
From the back?
Right behind, yes. Jim?
Would it be beneficial to the town, Ray? It sounds like it would.
Might be maybe beneficial if he wants to build a road for us, that we should take over at least the part that he wants to build. Now, the rest of it,
Well, the rest of it entails the other dimension, which is 12 feet or 15 feet all the way back to the...
all the way. Then, but, right, if we make that a town road, then we gotta maintain the darn thing and keep it open to traffic, make it safe, and we don't have to, just like any other road. And I just as soon not have a road back to our gravel bed.
So just do it.
That's my feeling. I'm concerned. As long as he wants to build a road, and give it to us, let's let him build a road, and the town board can say it's a road by use, like they've done before.
Yeah, the circumstance with Mr. Ireland is the fact that he would yield his ownership on the first part of it as long as the balance of it going back was going to be recognized as a...
He wouldn't have to yield it, would he? We can just, as a road by using it. I mean, these people have used it, we've used it, it's, everybody's gone in and out of it. He's had people in and out of there for years. So it's just a matter of maintaining it, Earl builds it. Right.
Well, it's not quite as simple as that. What he's saying to you is because of use, we've using the road. And he's saying 6 years of use says it's a road anyway. So, all the way down there. The issue is that Mr. Ireland's part of the agreement would be for Mr. Hoffman's benefit to have that a road. The town is just using it anyway. We're just doing it. We've been using our side of the road, we'll say, for a lot of years, okay? If we stray over the other side, we stray over the other side. Point of it is you got X number of feet that belong to Mr. Ireland, which is between Mr. Hoffman's property and the town's property on paper, coming off of Route 8, going to the east. Mr. Ireland is willing to take and release that property to the town at no cost. If you extend that property as a roadway all the way to the rear, to his property line back there.
And then if he builds a house or sells a lot back there, we've got to build that road and maintain it back to that point.
Exactly right. And
I think we ought to look into it further.
Well, this has been going on for...
Yeah, well, the point of it is,
It's time for a decision here.
the point of it is the I don't know if the word eminent domain is being used, or just use by right of use, you're saying.
Well, let's see, we got this, Rosie was the only one on the board, I guess, that was here, right, when this happened up in High Banks. When the town board, on Wally's advice, had said that was a town road by maintenance, in which road had very little maintenance on. And we didn't use it or nothing else, but they said that was a town road, which I was against, and this one, I don't care, this is a good, if he's willing to build it.
That was our lawyer's advice.
But I'm saying to me,
Well, the point I'm saying,
here's a road that's gonna be built for us.
but the point I'm saying to you, that's all well and good. Mr. Hoffman has that benefit going to him, but the person that's in between Mr. Hoffman's property and the town's property is saying, what do you mean? Yeah. What do you mean, yeah?
Okay, I stated my feeling, now it's the town board is gonna make...
Well, I'm just saying, I'm agreeing with you. I'm sitting there saying,
Can we accept it to a certain point? To the line?
No, because Ireland won't give you his part unless you take the whole thing, all right?
We can't go as far as Mr. Hoffman wants it to go. We can't fix it to that point.
well,
You won't get a deed for that.
well, you're going to have an issue that has to be resolved one way or the other there. Am I to understand the board's feeling would be to allow the development of the highway from Route 8 back to the suggested place that Mr. Hoffman would like to have? That's one question. If that's what you're telling me, then I guess we go back and talk to both Mr. Ireland and Mr. Hoffman, see if we can resolve that.
And
How
the
we resolve
attorney,
it.
did you say and the attorney?
Well,
Well,
I think, if you're gonna do that, you'd have to do it on his recommendation, that's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm saying, I just want a direction. I just want a direction to go back and say, this is what we'd like to do, if this is what we can do, we can talk to Mr. Ireland about
I suggest you proceed.
it. Okay? All right.
Does this road have a name?
This road out here? Well,
We have never named it. It's a private, it's not a public road, but we haven't named it.
we'll take and, let me discuss.
The only reason I bring this up, there's at least one other, I think, in the town. Someday we're gonna have 911 here, and the key to every individual's home location in the 911 system is the name of the road.
Well, yeah.
And there'll be an identifier in the computer.
I imagine once they accept it, they'll name it.
Well, the point is, that you have to take and get that squared away with the county anyway. You have to do that. If you're gonna name a road, you have to check out the name with the county as far as they'll accept it.
Take the town board and name it, right?
Well, whoever named it, I could care less who named it. But the point I'm trying to say to you is, that problem with 911 will be taken care of at the county level by giving us a designation, what road name was eligible. That's one. The two is to discuss the situation with Mr. Ireland as to his feeling of, and what we can do about the other part of the road. I'm not sure exactly where we stand, and I think I understand where we're at it, but I'll have to talk with him.
If we go all the way, he's gonna have lots through there, isn't he?
I don't know.
For a free
He
road.
could, or he could sell one lot, or whatever. If we take that road, we've got to it's up to us to maintain it.
Yes, but how long is this?
I don't know. How many feet is it all the way back? Anybody know?
You don't want to go all the way back, just to the gravel part of the hill.
Just our gravel bed.
Yeah, well. All the way back.
I think the question...
1,000, 1,500?
About twice as far as I want to go.
If I might suggest, well, why don't you just assign somebody to look into the whole thing and come back next meeting and give you all the facts?
I was planning on doing that.
Well,
Thank
you know,
you.
5, 10 minutes ago, and then be done with it.
They
And
will.
then move on.
There's no problem with that. I've been directed to take and look at it, okay.
Before we let Ray go, I've got a question for you, Ray. Seeing that you're agreeing with me tonight, I love it.
Oh, boy.
The state made a road down there going to the gravel, you know, down.
Route 3?
Yeah. Could you explain that to me? Are they just using it now, or are they going to have a road there permanent on State Route 3?
I haven't consulted with me on that, Rose. I don't have any idea.
You want me to give you my
Well-
information?
I haven't.
Yeah.
The road, the people who are building it, who have got the contract on the road to rehabilitate the road, have use of all the right-of-way on the roadbed. The whole road is their responsibility. They're bonded for it, they're financed for it, they're insured for it. The materials that are going to go on the roadbed are coming out of Mr. Fugler's mining area that's already built. I mean, he's already developed the gravel for the job.
Are they going to close that road after they're done
Yep.
fixing the highway?
They're
That's
planning
my
to close,
question.
yep.
Okay.
That's what they're
All
doing.
right. Because I don't see where anybody else is allowed to open a driveway or anything on State Route 3, and I thought, you know, if they were going to keep it permanent,
Save all the traffic on our road, Johnny Cake.
um,
Come right out on the state road.
yeah, but the house, old Benedict's house can't have a little drive, never was allowed,
well,
and
yeah, but
your
the point
project
is-
couldn't come out on Route 3. I
Well,
mean,
well,
nobody
the point-
else is.
Well, Benedict's was bought out. Benedict's property was bought out when they put the road through, and they bought the property out, and then they sold it to
What
somebody.
I'm saying is nobody else could put a
No,
little
no.
driveway on State Route 3, and I was wondering if it was going to be permanent, that's all. It's not, huh?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Just strictly to bring it up. Anyone else?
For general issues,
Pardon?
for anything?
Yeah.
I have something there.
Yeah.
One for each of you, please. My name's Fred White. I live in Granby. You, the council people of Granby, passed a motion to allow miners to operate outside the law. You changed the law without having a secret completed. You changed the law without notifying the county. You changed the law without having a public hearing. You changed the law illegally because you felt that non-residents have to make a living. Yet when petitioned by over 200 tax-paying residents, you still have not come close to doing what's right, looking out for the residents who have a right to live in safety and have their property protected. I won't even ask why our town lawyer didn't intervene. I heard a very noteworthy statement while having breakfast Sunday morning at Bodie's. It was from a resident. He was talking to Jim Best about the status of the Chase Road soccer field and said, "It doesn't make good business sense, does it?" He was talking about approving a soccer field and Granby not collecting any profit. I agree with this point. What does the town profit from these miners? Guess what? Granby residents are paying out every time a gravel mine is applied for. You heard me. Granby taxpayers pay more than the gravel miners. Here's the numbers. The applicant pays out $125 to Granby and possibly a few dollars in taxes. The northern pit is taxed at an assessed value of $1,000. So what's that, 25 bucks? Maybe 100 a year? Now on the other side, when I only include the minimum cost of the planning board, that's 25 bucks per member per meeting, and the ZBA another 25 per meeting, plus 300 bucks for the court stenographer at the ZBA, it comes to about $575. 575 minus 100 a quarter is 450. It costs Granby taxpayers at least 450 bucks just to approve the permit. We're paying just to process the permit. What's wrong with this picture? This assumes nothing goes wrong. It doesn't include the town lawyer's fees. It does not include the cost to residents to fix the roads, and doesn't include damage to car windows, car paint jobs, lawnmowers, and more expensive farm equipment. What the heck's happened in Granby? The people don't have a say. The miners operate without approved permits. The town board changes laws as they see fit. Jim Best said, I've got 7,000 people to look out for. Which of those 7,000 are you looking out for now? I demand that you four who voted to allow mining without permits as required by Granby's laws do what is right now, and rescind your previous decision that allows miners to operate without current Granby permits. I also request that if you can't find the strength to do what you were elected to do, that you resign from your office. Not even you have the authority to ignore the laws. A very concerned tax-paying citizen. Thank you.
Anybody else? No one else? Mary, you want to say?
I agree with Fred.
Okay.
You know, one thing to add to this one, I know during the last meeting, it wasn't a public meeting, it was brought up about if we've ever had a renewal, and it was said no. Well, Mr. Meany renewed his permit in 1991, a 2-year renewal, and that figures out to 1993. It's 1994, he knew he had to renew at 91, and you people let him and gave him the right to keep mining without a permit since 1993. And this states everything. You stated that there was never a renewal, but there has been renewals. The people that really realize what they've signed, because these permits are signed when they come to these boards saying they acknowledge our laws. They can read around the laws the way they want to read them, but when it comes back to us that we have to pay for this again, I think it's about time we better look at this. I think what you passed last week was ridiculous, and I don't think it was really done with any thought, because these people have been violators, most of them. 2 of them are 2 years old. They've lapsed. Meany's is 1 year, and you're still going to allow this.
Anybody else?
While we're on the same issue, this 30-day extension that was granted to these people at the last work session last Wednesday, April 6th, our zoning laws state under Section 5F6 that no special permit for excavation operations or soil mining shall, and shall is defined under Section 11 of our town zoning laws, meaning always or mandatory, be granted for a period of more than 3 years, but such permit may, and may is defined as meaning permissive, that it is permitted, granting permission, and mandatory is also defined in there as a judicial command directed to enforce. Be extended for an additional 2 years upon approval of the Board of Appeals. Now, I don't believe that our zoning laws allow or state in there that there's to be any kind of a 30-day extension. what our zoning laws do state is that the town board may, on its own motion or on petition, or on recommendation from the planning board, amend the regulation and districts established under this ordinance after a public notice and hearing is held in each case. Now, I'd like to ask each of you that voted to allow this 30-day extension, how it is that you feel that you are justified in doing that without holding a public hearing. That's what our zoning laws require.
Well, the public hearing is a item that ZBA has to look at the mining program. The town board made a decision to try to provide for an opportunity to get the permits that were violated, notice of violation, on record and continue the permitting process. The town board at last meeting stated to the fact that the part of the problem was that the record keeping to designate that the time that they ran out was our consideration, our part of the notification. Right now we are in the process of developing that hearing process that you're talking about for the people who have been notified.
But now, okay, but at the last meeting, you made the motion, or the board did, and passed it to allow a 30-day extension to reapply. And that is adding to our zoning laws. And that requires a public hearing and public notice in the paper. You just can't say, well, we've decided that we're going to allow an extra 30 days now. That's not available in the zoning laws. If that's going to be an option in the future for everyone, and that's what you're doing when you allow it for one, you're setting precedents, you have to hold a public hearing with a public notice and get the public's approval and input on this. You just can't sit there and make changes and additions to our zoning laws that aren't available in there now. So, again, I'd like to ask how it is that you feel you're able to do it legally. No public hearing was held. And I'd like to, again, I'd like to ask each one of you that voted to approve this, and I believe that was everyone but Rosie. Mr. Cavone, could you tell me why?
Well, we're into the discussion as to the very thing you're talking about right now, and
but you voted to pass this.
I understand. But I'm not arguing with you. I know that we did. I'm saying we've done that, and we're in discussion on it right now as to the implications of that. And
But doesn't
I'll give you a response when I have the implications in my hand, so I can tell you. Glad to.
But you still don't understand.
No, I understand very
That
specifically.
30-day option is not available. They don't have that privilege at this point. You people made a motion and passed this thing, and this isn't even an available option in the zoning laws.
Okay. Anybody else?
My name is David Pomeroy. I'm a taxpayer in this community. I'm going to change the subject slightly, but it's still on mining operations. Last year, the town board accepted a bill or a bid. Now, it may not have been a bid, it may have been a quote. I know that you changed the words. I can't remember which it was. From Mr. Bill Summers for sand from the town. And I believe he provided all the sand to the town, is that correct?
Do it from his bed.
Okay, you do it from his bed?
No, out of 50.
Well,
Pritchard don't own that bed.
No, Pritchard doesn't own the bed.
He's got.
I don't care if he leases it, he don't own it.
I'm not saying that.
Okay, let me finish. So you accepted the bid or the quote from Mr. Summers, who was the county legislator at the time, Oswego County legislator at the time. He's now voted out of office. The property that bed was on, I believe, was owned by Beverly Summers. Okay, she's a member of the town zoning board. Anyways, the last I heard she was, and at the last meeting that I was at, she's a member of the town zoning board. And is there a DEC permit for using that bed?
I take it that Pritchard has a permit for using bed. And
Does he
I
have a
haven't seen it
DEC?
permit. They told me it was permitted. I haven't.
They told you it was
Yes,
permitted.
They told me it was permitted, yeah.
Is it permitted?
Yes.
Okay.
Pritchard has a
Well, I
permit
have
for
no-
some.
There's a way to easily see that. One of the requirements of all these nowadays is you have one of these waterproof things that you put out a little building that's got to be in visual, easily seen by everybody, so you can check. So that's got to be there.
Okay, is there a specific permit for that bed? That's all I'm asking.
I take it there is. I take it there is. I haven't looked at it to see.
He's in compliance with, Pritchard is in compliance with that and the Ridge Road. Yes, he is. I think he's the only one that is legal, isn't it? Pritchard is, I think, with the DEC.
Okay. He doesn't have a special use permit for that particular bed?
You have to have a special use permit to take and have the permit.
He has a special use permit for that particular bed?
I presume he has a special use permit to take and have the bed.
All right.
Is there,
I haven't seen any record of that. Have you seen a record of that special use permit? I don't believe there is a special use permit for that bed. Well, let me ask, does the town, when they accept materials from anyone, do they first ask whether they have a DEC permit and check and see if they have a town special use permit before they get materials for the town use?
I've asked if they had a permit, but I haven't asked to see it.
Isn't there, I think you were talking about processes being put in place at the meeting last week. I think this town, before it buys any materials for the town use at all, should check and see whether there's a DEC permit and a special use permit in place. Otherwise, you're going to be accepting, you're going to be accepting materials from illegal operations, and you're essentially going to be promoting them. So I suggest from this point on, this board ought to consider and maybe make a motion that they check and see that there is a special use permit and that there is a DEC permit in place from anybody you accept materials from, especially knowing where the bed is.
David. If that's the case, we wouldn't be doing business with nobody in the town of Granby, because you can't believe the people that's very illegal in this town with mining. They wouldn't be doing business with nobody.
So that means that the town board is promoting,
business with anybody if they.
that means the town is promoting illegal operations in
No,
this
we're
town.
not promoting. This is going to be getting a better handle on who has what permit, where, when, and all that. It's going to be some of the topics of discussion at our meeting with these other boards. We're trying to get a handle on it.
I don't think they should be operating without a permit. I'm still against it, Jim.
I don't think you should be spending taxpayers' money I pay, for buying materials that are illegal in the first place.
Well, I'm not sure that it's illegal, so I can't say that is a true charge. You only have to take and show me that that's a fact, and I'll go with that.
I didn't say it was a charge.
Well, you're saying illegal. I'm saying, I mean, if you're referring to the
If they don't have a
stuff.
DEC permit.
Well, I'm saying, I don't know that, but I'm saying before you say they are, we ought to take and be sure to document that that's the case. It's easy to take and say, I overhear somebody saying this, and I overhear this, and I heard somebody say something. If you did that,
I overheard anybody.
No,
I
I'm
asked
just
the
saying,
question,
I understand what you
whether they had
said.
the permit
I understand
or
what you
not.
said. I just making a comment, in general comment. It's easy to say, I overheard someone said this about somebody, something like that. And when you're making that kind of a statement, it's hearsay, and it wouldn't hold up in a place where you have to have it. Your comment's proper all the way. I'm not arguing with you there. I have no problem. I'm just saying, when you make statements, and the statements being made, the indication of any allegations should be considered. I'm just making sure that we all understand that before we say that the person's done something illegal, let me look and see if he's done it illegal. I don't know. I'll check it. That's all.
So is the board going to consider that they should check on these permits before they accept materials from these mines, or not?
Well, it is the premise of the board to take and only operate in a proper manner, and it's also the premise of the board to take and provide a management procedure that's going to take and keep track of these things that hadn't happened before. That's the direction.
I've got a couple of questions here. One goes back to our lawn people here that are taking care of the cemeteries. Are they insured, and do they do supply a certificate for X
Yes.
number of dollars? Okay,
Yeah.
very good. My next one, Jim, we're back to the Ferguson Beach Limited again. We got a letter from the DEC when we were in the comment period from Kevin Bliss that was sent to you, and this definitely was sent to you. This isn't hearsay. And it says, this letter is to confirm the establishment of the Department of Environmental Conservation as a lead agency pursuant of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and to solicit comment from the town relative to the Ferguson Beach Limited mining application currently before the department. In particular, I'm interested in your suggestions relative to the following: appropriate setbacks from property boundaries or public thoroughfare right-of-ways, man-made or natural barriers designed to restrict access if needed, and if affirmative, the type, length, and height and location of. 2, control the dust, hours of operation, and whether mining is prohibited at this location. The letter goes on saying that the above concerns are those in which I have specifically required to solicit, according to the Mine Land Reclamation Act. Please feel free to express any additional concerns. I understand the Zoning Board of Appeals will be discussing this application in the near future, and their comments are welcome. I have already received comments from the Town Planning Board. As indicated in the notice of the complete application, I would appreciate any response by December 2nd. And we were told by Kevin Bliss this was not responded to.
No, and I advised during the 15th or 21st, whatever it was, that we had extension on that.
Was
to the
was
24th.
anything ever?
Nothing from my office, Mark.
Why?
No direction to do it.
This wasn't
I
forwarded?
I
This was directed
advised
to you?
everybody the 21st at this meeting we had on the original request of Rose Anthony and Vince Greco that we had an extension to the 24th of December.
But nothing was responded to.
No. Not from
Aren't you the lead person in this town?
I'm the chief executive officer.
And this
of
was
the town.
directed to you. Why didn't you
Well,
respond to this letter?
Because I didn't have any direction to take and respond to it.
So the reason, so you don't have any response?
I didn't have any.
And our concerns started here in October, I believe, here at these town meetings.
The planning board advised them of their comments. That's
They
the only
said
one
this
that,
in here.
that's the only one I had. And I got a copy of them going in.
But the rest of this does mean nothing to the town board?
I didn't have any direction to take.
Do the rest of the town board members have any input on this? Please, can I ask Vince? Did you
I
input on this?
didn't know about it at the time, no.
I didn't see
Tony?
a copy.
No.
I didn't see a
Randy?
copy.
Lance?
We weren't told about it.
Just filed with my office.
I think it might have
That's
had
what
an
you
impact
call
on us,
putting it in
because
the
everything was
closet.
coming from the
No,
DEC.
That's what you call putting it in a
No,
closet.
the copy went to the planning board from our office because that's where.
Well, the planning board already responded,
Well, that's-
according to this.
But the point was that where
This was supposed
the
to come
copy
back
went
from
to it.
you, I believe.
Well, it may have been, but it didn't happen.
Where is leadership? You know
Okay.
that we had concerns since September 8th at the town board meeting. You know there were legitimate concerns. There were safety concerns, there were health concerns, there were concerns with the danger of the
But
location of the driveway, and you chose to do
And I
nothing.
advised the board on December 21st,
This was
22nd. we
addressed
met.
to
No,
you
listen,
specifically.
I know, I advised that the comment period had been extended to 24th. I had no direction to send any back.
You didn't need
What does that have
direction.
to do with that
This
letter?
was addressed to
Directions
you.
from who?
My town board, there's the comments they wanted to send.
They
Address
didn't,
the
they
town
didn't
board.
see it, they said.
It
Well,
wasn't
I-
addressed to the town
If
board,
they
it
didn't
was
see
addressed
it,
to
then
you.
I can't do anything about it, but I didn't have any, I advised them that we had comment period the 24th at that time.
It wasn't addressed to the town board, it was addressed to you specifically. The DEC sets up a triangle. When an applicant puts in an application for
Down.
a thing, there's a triangle. The
Original.
applicant, the DEC, and what they call the CAO, Chief Administrative Officer. That is you. That was addressed to you, not to the town board. So why would you be looking for direction from the board when it was addressed specifically to you?
Well, the town board is the agency that takes,
No,
that
it
has
was
my,
specifically
that directs me to do anything, but the point was, if that got into my office and I didn't follow up on it, I didn't follow up on it. But the planning board was made available of the original request period that they had, because the planning board responded to it, okay? Because that comes through my office, and we put it on the calendar, or on the agenda file for the planning board. And I'm not gonna take and say I did something I didn't do.
Let me just ask you right out, can you explain why you didn't respond?
I can't tell you offhand, I just didn't
Slipped your
respond.
mind, or just...
Not slipped my mind, I just didn't respond to it, I guess. But
At this point in time, this is water under the bridge. What we're focusing on now is trying to rectify it, solve these problems. We are quite aware of all these problems that you've brought up so far tonight. And we are attempting to
Well, I've got one small one, if I might, a small one. I wrote 2 letters, you read them both tonight, I've written them in the past. I've never once got a response from any one of you up there on a written response to anything that I've either asked for or recommended at the meeting that we had in the whatever you call this other building up here. I brought it up that time again. You said, Fred, I'll get right back to you. Buddy, whatever. And then again tonight I bring it up. My question is, what do each one of you think about these letters that come here? I mean, y'all sit up there and not do a thing. It seems to me that when I write something, I would expect, and we all acted on this thing tonight where we had to figure out who's going to cut the lawn, and you figured it out, so we did that, I guess. But when it comes to asking a simple question like, what are you going to do about this? Or tonight I demanded, I think that you guys, well, how about taking a revote? Can't one of you at least appease me, one of the guys that pays for all this, and say, well, I want to pass a motion like Fred recommended to at least do that to appease some of the taxpayers who voted you guys in. One of you, please.
I still think I made the right
I'm saying for tonight. Obviously.
I still hold to it. I still think, personally, that's the best way to go. And I plan on taking action on it.
Mr. Maxim?
Getting back to this letter with Mr. Ferguson, regarding Ferguson, from the DEC to you, a call that we had placed to the DEC told us, and I would like everyone on the board to know, they had Mr. Best responded to this letter, the outcome of this permit application would have been totally different.
Wait a minute, you're saying that this is a letter from DE saying that someone...
Requesting your input, this letter that we've been referring to, the outcome of this would have been totally different had the town showed that there were legitimate concerns of saturation, of safety, of health. Since the town chose not to do anything with it, their hands were tied.
Who signed that letter? Who signed the letter you got there?
Phone conversation.
No. Who signed the letter you got commenting on that? Who signed the letter that said there'd be a total different outcome if they would respond?
Telephone conversation.
No. Who signed something to tell you that?
I'm explaining to you.
I'm asking you a question.
It was a telephone conversation.
I'm asking you a question. Who gave you a piece of paper said that if you had that?
No one gave it to me. It was a telephone conversation.
Well,
Do you want it writing? I'll get it ready.
well, I would presume if you're going to say that would be the only thing that would change it, woulda, coulda changed it, that I would have a letter written saying the guy signed it and said that specifically, because I think that's critical.
I'll work on it.
I think that's critical.
That's my next
I really do.
I'll work on it.
Okay. Anybody else?
I got one further question. I'm going to get back to this other subject I was in. When you got the sand for the town, did you actually use town equipment to pull the sand out, to actually mine the sand and put it into the trucks?
We loaded it ourselves.
You loaded it yourself, you put it into town trucks, and the town trucks brought it down to the barn?
Right.
Okay, from that particular pit?
Right.
All right, and that pit is just, the entrance to that is just beyond the trailer park. What's the name of the trailer park?
I'm sorry.
Mobile City?
It's Mobile City. Yes.
Mobile City. That entrance is just beyond. That's where you went into the back area there,
Right.
to the pit to get the sand out of there. All right, thank you.
But I do have one comment on the sand. I did, you mentioned a quote, it wasn't a quote, but I did call around. I called all the local, and I don't know if they had permits, but I took the lowest one, and I figured we saved, for our winter sand, we'd save probably about $16,000.
Oh yeah, I'm not questioning that at all.
And I did it, I tried to do the job.
I
The
understand,
best job for the taxpayer.
I understand that.
What I would like to know
We got one.
is how do they come by the entrance the man has got onto Route, County Route 8? How do they come by an entrance in the, where he's got it?
It's been there as long as,
There's been no entrance there.
an 8 down there?
No, that was a house in there and just a driveway.
Yeah, but it went right by his house.
No, they didn't.
Yes, that's for quite a few years.
No, I know how long it's
How many
been. They
years?
put a couple of buildings back there and then they
I
extended
don't
it.
know when, but it's been there.
It's been there that long, mister. I know, I live there. So do you, I think. You live just beyond there, don't you? Oh, okay.
No, I'm a south ender.
But that is the most dangerous spot on County Route 8 where that's coming out. Do you realize that?
Oh, it's a dangerous spot.
Very dangerous, both ways. How can anybody okay a road coming out in a position where that is? And how come it comes about?
Yeah, I didn't,
Well, why isn't it
road was there.
stopped? Take him out some other way. Get away from that damn curve. That's deadly. There's been people killed right there.
Another one.
So, I don't understand how, what do? You just go ahead and I'll put a road in here if I feel like it. You go ahead and put it in. You don't ask permission to come onto the highway from anybody then.
Like I say, the road was there when we drew sand.
The road was there when you drew sand, but you just drew it. That road hasn't been there.
Dennis?
I guess mine's back to, Ray, you're on the spot. Okay, we're talking about the Pritchard here again with this comment that we had from Cornell University about the guardrail. Was this a drop subject?
No, this is something that I believe that the town board is gonna follow through and see.
Who was?
We're
Did
looking
somebody
at-
raise their hand?
I am.
Well,
Thank you.
It'll be up to the board.
It's part of the discussion.
I am.
Okay, thank you.
To address you a little bit, Fred, and I can't really appease you. I'm sort of in agreement with Lance. We have, over this mining issue, as you know, in the past, there's controversy amongst the board members on how we all feel about it. I went along with Lance because there's so much turmoil and frustration, as you well know. I'm still a little frustrated over it. I just hope to God and pray somehow that we can work out something with these other boards and come up with something that'll help in the past. I don't know what it's going to do in the,
When you all said
at the present time. That's all I can say.
You help us. You pointed fingers at Steve Lund, I don't know how many times. Well, Steve, you have to do your job. He did his job. And what did you do? You let him down. You let him down. And you let all of us down. Not just a few people, except for the miners, the 3 that got off free. But all the rest of us, you let down because you people did sit up there and said, we'd love to help you. But then everybody started pointing fingers to Mr. Lund, and you all know it, at the last meetings, you said, well, you know, there's no violations, what can we do? He gave you violations. What more do you have to give you? Blood?
Anybody else got anything else to bring out another subject?
Dennis,
It's gonna- you're gonna
I'd
continue
like
this,
to
it's gonna
say
go on.
something. Dennis, I disagreed last time with letting these people continue working without a permit. I am one that disagreed. I am the only oddball on this whole board here. I don't believe that if a person, I talked legally to a legal person the day after, and if you don't have a permit, to carry a gun, you don't carry a gun. If you don't have a permit for a junkyard, you don't have a junkyard. You don't have a permit for this gravel. They should have, Steve closed them down. This town board should have waited 30 days until they all reapplied and said, okay, open up after you get your permit. I disagree with what this town board did. I'm sorry, Dennis. I have to.
Can I take an
I have
answer
to
there?
disagree on
Lyle
this.
Young.
There is question on the legality of trying to close down a business, because I feel that had the town board voted that direction, we as taxpayers would have been paying fantastic legal fees to defend the action of the board. So I believe that the board had no choice but to do what they did because of the legal situation. That's all I have to say.
Why don't you see what the price of ignorance is?
Can I take, and if there's no other, I mean, I'm not trying to cut anybody off or continue the conversation, but what I'm looking at, does anybody else have another subject they'd like to bring on before I continue?
Well, this just in response to that, from what I believe, and I'm not a lawyer, I don't know, I think what happens when we hired that one lawyer before is that the minor's lawyer would take the town to court, Wally would go there for an hour, and if the judge said, you know what, the minors are right, let them mine without a permit, and then that's all that happens. There's no money involved, there's no other cost, except to pay Wally, where we pay him, $100 and some odd an hour. It's not like we get sued or anything that happens there. Those guys are clearly not.
You don't realize what you're getting into.
Anyway.
Maybe I don't, I don't know that. Somebody make me smart.
Nobody else?
Any other,
That's all I'm
Can I have a motion?
Fred,
to
any
adjourn?
other subject besides mining?
Yes.
Besides mining,
Yes.
Tim?
The quote you got on the door panels for out here in the town garage, that you tabled until you go out and check them and see exactly what you need out there, was there a time limitation on that quote, like 30 days or 60 days? Or,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there's still time to table this and still have it effective?
It won't make a difference, if we don't do the doors, it won't be done.
Okay.
Hey, why blow money? We don't have to.
Anything else not pertaining to mining? I know how you all feel about mining. Go ahead, Lyle.
I'd like to thank the board for their vote of confidence in my appointment on the planning board. Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion, we adjourn.
Second to it? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Pass, Madam Clerk.